In the ancient scrolls of the prophet Ezekiel, written over 2.5 millennia ago, lies a prophecy of remarkable detail and geopolitical scope. Chapter 38 describes a great war in the latter days, an invasion of Israel so specific in its participants and its outcome that many today see its shadow looming over our modern world. This isn't just an ancient story, it's a future event foretold. A dramatic confrontation on the world stage. Let's delve into this extraordinary prophecy and understand what it tells us about the nations, their motives, and the ultimate display of divine power. The prophecy begins by identifying the leader of this great invasion, a figure named Gog, from the land of Magog, designated as the chief prince of Rosh, Meshech, and Tubal. For centuries, biblical scholars have worked to place these ancient names on a modern map. The consensus points overwhelmingly north. Magog, Rosh, Meshech, and Tubal are identified with ancient territories that today constitute modern Russia and parts of Turkey. Gog, therefore, is not a personal name but a title for the leader of this northern superpower. The prophecy is clear. A powerful figure from the land we now call Russia will spearhead this future coalition. But Russia will not act alone. Ezekiel lists a precise set of allies who will join this military campaign. First is Persia, an identification that requires no interpretation. Until 1935, the nation we know today as Iran was called Persia. Their inclusion is explicit. Then, the prophecy names Cush and Put. Cush refers to the ancient kingdom south of Egypt, corresponding to modern Ethiopia and Sudan. Put was a territory west of Egypt, what we know today as Libya, and its surrounding North African region. Finally, Ezekiel mentions Gomer and Beth Togarmah from the far north, along with all their hordes. These are ancient peoples from the regions of Anatolia, widely understood to be modern-day Turkey and related Turkic nations. So, the picture becomes clear. A formidable military alliance, led by Russia, joined by Iran, Turkey, and nations from North Africa. The target of this invasion is equally specific. The text says they will come against the mountains of Israel, to a people brought back from many nations and dwelling in safety. This points directly to the land of Israel, and specifically its central highlands, the area often referred to today as the West Bank. The prophecy describes a prosperous nation, one that has gathered its people from a global diaspora and is living in a state of perceived peace and security, in what Ezekiel calls unwalled villages. This relative prosperity and feeling of safety will, tragically, make Israel an attractive target. Why would this coalition launch such a massive attack? The prophecy leaves no room for doubt about their motives. Ezekiel 38 verse 12 states that the armies come to seize, spoil, and carry off plunder. This is not a crusade for religious or ideological reasons. It is a war of conquest for economic gain. The invading force sees a wealthy and seemingly vulnerable Israel and decides to take its resources by force. The goal is to plunder the nation, to capture its great wealth and assets. As this immense army gathers, the prophecy describes another group of nations, not as participants, but as onlookers. Ezekiel mentions Sheba and Dedan and the merchants of Tarshish and all its young lions. Who are these observers? Sheba and Dedan were ancient kingdoms located on the Arabian Peninsula, corresponding to modern-day Saudi Arabia and the Gulf Arab states. Tarshish is often interpreted as a great maritime power to the west, historically identified with Great Britain, and most intriguingly, its young lions are seen as the offspring, or colonies, that emerged from this British power. This is widely understood to mean the United States, Canada, Australia, and other Western allies. Their response to the invasion is not military intervention, but a question. They ask Gog, "Have you come to seize spoil? Have you gathered your army to carry off plunder, to take away silver and gold, to capture livestock and goods, and to seize great spoil?" They challenge the motive, they protest the aggression, but they do not act, for reasons the prophecy does not detail. The great Western powers and their allies stand aside as the invasion begins. The invasion force then advances. Ezekiel describes it as a mighty storm, a cloud covering the land, as they sweep down from the north and onto the mountains of Israel. At this moment, as the fate of Israel hangs in the balance and no human help is coming, the prophecy shifts. This will not be a human victory. God himself intervenes directly. The method of the invaders' destruction is catastrophic and supernatural. The text says God will call for a sword against Gog on all his mountains. First, a great earthquake will shake the land of Israel, so powerful that mountains will be overthrown and cliffs will be crumbled. Then chaos will erupt within the invading ranks, as every man's sword will be against his brother. The coalition will turn on itself in a wave of infighting. God will then pour down judgment in the form of pestilence and bloodshed, and finally, a supernatural storm of torrents of rain, hailstones and burning sulfur. The entire vast army of Gog and his allies will be utterly destroyed upon the mountains of Israel, not by the Israeli military, but by the direct and overwhelming power of God. Why does it happen this way? What is the ultimate purpose of this dramatic, world-altering event? The prophecy provides a definitive answer in its climax. God declares his reason for this intervention, stating, "And so I will show my greatness and my holiness, and I will make myself known in the sight of many nations. Then they will know that I am the Lord." The entire event, from the gathering of the specific nations to their spectacular destruction, is designed for one purpose: to reveal the power, the sovereignty, and the glory of the God of Israel to the entire world. It is a demonstration so undeniable that all nations will be forced to acknowledge his existence and his might. The prophecy of Ezekiel 38 is a sobering and profound look into the future. It outlines an invasion of Israel by a specific coalition of nations led by Russia, Iran, and Turkey. It describes the inaction of the West and the economic motives behind the attack, but most importantly, it declares that at the final moment, God will intervene in a display of power that will leave no doubt as to who is in control. It is a reminder that history is moving toward a divine appointment, where the ultimate purpose is not the victory of one nation over another, but that the Lord alone will be glorified. Thank you for watching. If you found this exploration insightful, please like, share, and subscribe for more content.